Welcome, new and returning listeners, to today's episode of the Black Business Roundtable. I am your host, Doug Blackshear, broadcasting to you live from the City of Diversity, Oakland, California, at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. East Coast Time, Newsday, Thursday. Today, we're going to have a little different format today. I want to, instead of having uh, issues, and we're still going to have issues with white America, with white businesses, with political parties that only come for our vote. And I do mean only come for our vote every 2 to 4 years when it's election time. We're going to still have mental health, thanking Dr. Ashley for the initial introduction to how important it is. We're going to also be definitely keeping Donnie Glover, the mastermind behind Black USA and Be More News. We're going to also be talking about equal justice and visiting their website. Victory's Corner, my sister Elisa Victory, and we want to congratulate her for she just gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. So we want to congratulate Elisa Victory on the beautiful baby, and Kamara, her husband, my personal barber. As you can see, he hooked me up. It's kind of looking a little raggedy for a minute, but he was taking care of his fatherly duty, and I want to commend him for his effort, and I want to commend Elisa Victory for her effort in making sure that they keep a Black family intact. Because in America, as we know, as early as the 1960s and 70s and even 80s, the judicial system has separated families by mass incarcerating Black men. And in addition to that, when they had starting welfare back in the 60s, Black women were, what's the better word to say? They were terrorized by the government for having their husband or their man in the home. Their government money was taken away, and that further separated Black families back then. So we want to make sure that we see families like Elisa Victory doing these great things as a family unit, a young family. This sister is an attorney, civil rights attorney, and also a candidate that ran for mayor in the last Oakland election. And as you can see, Oakland is being plagued right now with, and I want to be very careful, with a mayor who is embodied in a issue that the FBI had to go into her house, her and her partner, Andre Jones. Mayor Shang Tao and Andre Jones are partners, and confiscated boxes of information. I did have a chance to talk to the mayor, which she said that there was basically one or two pieces of paper in each box. They wanted it to appear that they were coming out with boxes of information. So having both sides of that story now, I definitely want to share that with the audience. And last, and definitely not least, I want to talk about NID Counseling Agency, a HUD, and HUD means Housing and Urban Development, a HUD-approved organization promoting community development. Now, let's be clear here, America, and specifically Black America. Black people have not shared in generational wealth. Black people have been terrorized in this country. Yes, America, where we want to go all over the world, Craig, and we want to interfere with other government agencies, other government businesses, and we need to take care of business here in America in our own backyard, because as many of you know who have watched this show, and this is our third year, we have seen homeowners be terrorized by the community, and we want to make sure that we stop this type of action, whether it be from local governments, from the community, the white communities that they stay in. We want to galvanize our energy to stop the consistency of when a black person makes it, they're being torn down. Now, let's be clear. If you're torn down because you've done something wrong, you've done something illegal, then yes, you should face the same judicial system as every American should. But being terrorized by the community, being terrorized by local government, by whether it be the police or the judicial system or the legislation system or city administration, we want to, on our best day, highlight those things and make sure that black people in America have the same rights as all Americans, and that includes white folks. Also, I want to make sure that every person in America understand that this organization, NID, that stands for National Investment Division. I had the honor of attending a church function, and based on my physical limitations, I had to take 3 gabapentins just to stay there for an hour or two. But this organization gave its first street fair. It was a part of its first street fair. And let me be clear here. The services that NID, which is a housing counseling agency, a HUD, and that's Housing and Urban Development, approved organization promoting community development. Now, let's grasp that concept. What community needs more development than the black community? Now, the free services that NID HUD certified housing counselors provide are free counseling session, first-time home buyer, down payment assistance program. Now, let me sidebar there. If you complete this free services program, you go to their one-on-one counseling. You could get up to $150,000 towards your first home. Now, I want to reiterate that. You could get up to $150,000 as a down payment on your first home. And that's where specifically black Americans have faulted. We can't come up with the down payment on our home when we first buy it. So, renter assistance program. Having problems with your landlord? Having problems with understanding the contract? They have a landlord-tenant laws. Help you understand your rights as a tenant and helping you understand what the landlord can and cannot do. Emergency housing assistance. Reverse mortgage. Well, let me back up on emergency housing assistance. In Oakland, 70% of the homeless population are black. They look like you. They look like Dr. Ashley. And they look like me. So you go through this program and they can help you with emergency housing assistance. 70% of the homeless population here in Oakland are African Americans. And out of that 70%, over 50% are senior citizens. And it's shameful. And United Nations came through the city of Oakland a couple of years back, and they said certain areas in Oakland look like a third world country. So those of you who are watching, and not just here in Oakland, Alameda County, state of California, but all across the United States, NID is a national program, Reverse mortgage education. Find out how not to get duped when you do a reverse mortgage education. Foreclosure prevention. Understand how to fight a foreclosure and get your home back. And then another item that is coming on board for the NID counseling agency, predator people out there taking the life savings of senior citizens. It has become a national crisis, and I believe that is because they do not have the understanding of when you get a call from these predators trying to take advantage of our senior citizen, you ought to know what your rights are. You ought to be able to identify and make sure that you're not losing your home to these predators. You're not losing your life savings to these predators. You're not losing your retirement to these predators. These predators, whether they black or white or other, they're destroying our senior citizens' hard earned work in this country by not understanding how to identify a predator to get you to sign over your house to them. And they have some in-home caregivers who are being a part of this. They ask you to sign a piece of paper and you're signing over your house. So NID, National Investment Division, a housing and urban development approved organization. And more importantly, let me give you the information so that you can contact them at Tammy Willis. Yes, she's an approved counselor. Tammy Willis, HUD certified housing counselor. Once again, Tammy Willis, HUD certified housing counselor. Her number is 510-460-0248. And as listed below, her email is twillis@nidhousing.com. Visit their website at www.nidhousing.com. That's www.nidhousing.com. Audience, I humbly ask, before it's too late, get the help that you need to get the down payment on your first home, to understand your rights as a tenant, to understand the laws that your landlord could be using to get you out. They may be not abiding by the law. Emergency housing assistant, reverse mortgage education, foreclosure prevention, and understanding how senior citizens are being taken advantage of, losing their life saving, losing their homes, losing their retirement. It is a free service, and the key word is free. So thank you for listening to me for that. I think that is a very important thing. You hear me so often talking about, and once again, talking about how bad employers are. And I think last week we touched on union jobs versus non-union jobs. I've had an opportunity to work in a union job, and I've had an opportunity to work in a non-union job. And let me tell you, some of these non-union jobs, they run their business like a plantation. And we will be discussing in detail more about how they're averting Cal OSHA safety, how they are working their employees like slaves, how they pay white men counterparts more money than they pay black and brown people and women. So this is not just a black issue. It's a black and brown, and it's a woman issue. Some of these non-union companies have definitely demonstrated why unions are so valuable in this country. And I commend the union for making sure that everybody who's a journey person, who've earned their right to be a journey person, get paid the same amount of money as their white male counterpart. All right, let's move on. And one of the things that really hit home to me, and I say really hit home to me because at the end of the day, we had Dr. Ashley Coleman, who is extremely busy now in LA. And I want to commend Dr. Ashley Coleman, Doctor of Psychology. She was a tenured immediate past department chair and assistant professor of psychology at University of the West. She has taken a leave from there because her practice has picked up so much. And let's be clear, audience. Let's be perfectly clear. We want to sit up here and not get the help that we need to be healthy, to be powerful, productive members in our community. And you have to understand, and all of you have to understand, that Black people, more than any other people, have been devastated. And I do mean devastated by the action of white America. So we're going to go back to Therapeutic Thursday, and we have a young man who we're looking to get him on the show to take Dr. Ashley's place. Get back to Therapeutic Thursday. Mental health is just as important as your physical health. We will do our best to keep your mental health in check with a reminder that if you're feeling suicidal, depressed, anxiety, overwhelmed, please call 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Once again, that number is 988, the Suicide Crisis Hotline, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can text or chat them. And women looking for a therapist, you can go online at www.therapyforblackgirls.com. And men looking for a therapist, please. Men looking for a therapist. And I use the word please because there's a lot of men who will say, especially Black men, I'm not going for no quack doctor. I don't need nobody. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I've talked to therapists in my lifetime, last 10, 15 years. And let me just tell you something. I've had some health issues now that has really been overwhelming and has caused me some extreme depression, anxiety, and I've been fighting on a daily and weekly and monthly basis since I was injured on the job, some serious anxiety issues, and haven't been able to do the many things that I love to do in the community, political, and other. So don't hesitate, men. Please don't hesitate. Men in our audience looking for therapists. www.therapyforblackmen.org. Once again, I'm going to leave that up on the screen because it's important. It is important that we understand that white America has been brutal on Black Americans for over 400 years, and it continues to this day. So women looking for a therapist, www.therapyforblackgirls.com. And for the men in our audience looking for a therapist, www.therapyforblackmen.org. Now, we're going to go into the thumbs up and thumbs down. We've slacked up on the thumbs up and thumbs down. And once again, my health has really been holding me back on doing the amount of work that I do regarding getting out there and just sitting on the computer to find the thumbs up and thumbs down issues that concern not only the city of Oakland, county of Alameda, state of California, but all across this country. We're going to get back to the thumbs up because it's critical that we know the idiots out there. Yeah, I call you idiot. The idiots out there who are making it more difficult for, and I use difficult for, you, Black America, Yes, you, Black America, you ought to be shaming yourself. Uh, some of the things that are happening to all people, but specifically Black America has suffered the most in this country on any other group of people. I don't care what people say, that's a true fact. The Black Business Roundtable, bringing you national, regional, local news, and much more. So stay tuned with us every Thursday. Stay in the know and make sure that you know what's going on out here in Oakland County of Alameda, state of California, but all across the United States. I want to take a sidebar to bring up, and as I put his name up on the screen, I'm going to step away to get my stretch in. But we want to thank Mr. Donnie Glover, Black USA, BeMoreNews.com, and I say BlackUSA.news, BeMoreNews.com, and you can find him on YouTube / Donnie Glover, LinkedIn, Facebook, and his website is www.donnieglover.com. I'm going to take a quick stretch because my legs are tightening up. This gabapentin is helping, but every so often I have to stretch these legs. I'm going to leave this up on the screen. Please take a minute to look at it, and I'll be right back. I told you I'd be right back. I had to do a pause for the call, stretch my legs, and make sure that I can get through this whole show because we have a lot of great things to talk about today. And then we'll be skimming the surface and letting you know that we plan here on the Black Business Roundtable to inform, to teach, and to educate our Black American on what is and is not helping and or hurting our community, our cities, our counties, our state, and all across the country where Black people, many are still suffering from racism, etc., not just in their neighborhoods, in their homes, in their communities, but at the jobs and politically. And politically. As we see, we have the first Black woman who is at the top of the ticket for the Democratic Party. We want to make sure that we get out there and vote for her. Let me tell you something. I say this all the time. Whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, or independent, we, Black people, get shitted on more than any other group of people in this country. To that note, I want to talk to you about National Day information. We want to celebrate in courtesy of the National Day calendar here on the Black Business Roundtable. Then we want to hit on Equal Justice Initiative. Now, let's talk about that a little bit. Equal Justice Initiative, it outlines stories that have put the framework of how Black people and brown people and other people have been discriminated in this country for over 400 years, and it continues to happen to this day. So I humbly ask you to check out Equal Justice Initiative and make sure that you read those stories. So it's hard to go forward. It's hard to plan a future if you don't know what the past has been like. So Equal Justice Initiative, that's www.calendarej.org, Equal Justice Initiative. Please check it out. And we also want to get back on a man who has been devastated by the judicial system in North Carolina. And let's just be clear here, folks. This brother, and I have to take a minute out for him because I know him personally. He's a hard-working Black businessman who has been incarcerated. Yes, audience. He is incarcerated for protecting not only himself, but his business. If he were a white man in the same situation, he would not have been incarcerated for protecting his business in North Carolina. Audience, we want to thank you for continuing to share hashtag Stand with Carlton of Raleigh, North Carolina. And let me get this here on the screen here. There it is. Please share this hashtag Stand with Carlton of Raleigh, NC 2022. Click link on the show description to hear the history of Carlton. And briefly, a Black man in prison, a young Black entrepreneur that worked as a professional tattoo artistry, and professional work in the tattoo artistry with his own brick and mortar storefront with celebrity clients, not only in North Carolina, but in other states visiting his establishment for their tattoos. He was in prison for self-defense when threatened with bodily harm along with his patron in his business establishment. Please listen to the backstory on Carlton. The link is in the podcast description. Please check this brother out. Go to hashtag Stand with Carlton of Raleigh, NC 2022. Thank you, audience, for your thoughts, prayers, and messages and donations. Yes, please donate because we are still looking to get this brother some the legal help that he needs to overcome this outrageous miscarriage of justice in North Carolina, and that's Raleigh, North Carolina. Also, we want to remind you of in Northern California, the supporting hashtag Justice for Enzo, boycott Lodi wine. Don't buy in Lodi. Let's make a statement. Let's make a statement in Lodi, California, that if you want to drag a dog, that is not going to be tolerated. A family pet. Shameful, Lodi. Shame, shame, shame. An animal advocate, the hashtag Chris Kelly Foundation, based in Southern California. Continue with hashtag boycott Lodi CA, hashtag boycott Lodi, hashtag boycott Lodi wine. You have many choices of wine in Lodi or San Joaquin County area. The new series called Lodi, based on a true story in Lodi during the 70s. Let's not visit their website. Let's not watch their movie. Ewan McGregor filming in Lodi, California. Your entire film crew may be supporting Lodi police as the production will need to hire security, which could employ the very agency, Lodi police, that tased Enzo while Lodi Animal Control noosed him, and that's the dog, and drugged him down the street in front of witnesses. And this is the type of judicial police problems that we have in the United States. We have a few cops out there, and I'm an Oakland Community Policing Advisory Board. I have nothing against good police officers. I do have something against bad police officers. So let's make sure that we boycott them and let them know that we will not tolerate it. We will not tolerate this type of thing going on. And we want to stand up with this family against these few bad officers in Lodi, an animal control person who was a part of uh, this horrific incident with this family pet. Also, let's go into a little bit of politics. You hear me often, and I wear on my lapel, my pendant, City of Oakland. I want to get close to the screen so you can take a look at it. That's my City of Oakland. I earned this as a Community Policing Advisory Board member. We meet once a month. Even in my injury status, I've talked to the administration for the City of Oakland, and they have allowed me to attend the meetings. And every 10, 15, 20 minutes, I have to get up and stretch, walk around. But I'm serving my second term as a Community Policing Advisory Board member, helping to unite our community with our Oakland officers. 90% of OPD do not even live in this city. And that bothers me, because if you don't live in the city, you don't, to me, that's my opinion, you don't have a stakehold as people who do live in the city. So me being on the Community Policing Advisory Board about 3 years ago, if you remember, one of our guests was Creighton Davis, and he chaired the Community Policing Advisory Board. We put together what was called a pop-up, and we had them all across the city, where the OPD brought food and non-alcoholic beverages to the pop-ups, where we had the community come around and articulate to the Oakland police officers, rank and file. Matter of fact, Armstrong, who is running for city council at large, at that time, he was the police chief. Armstrong was Lerone Armstrong. He was a outstanding proponent on the pop-ups. He attended the first pop-up in my mother's neighborhood, and it had a magnificent showing. People came out. They were able to talk to the police officers and chief of police at that time, Lerone Armstrong, who is running for city council at large for Oakland, California. We're going to have him on the show. He's going to be a guest coming up soon on the Black Business Roundtable to talk about his run for city council at large for the city of Oakland. And that is Lerone Armstrong running for city council at large. In addition to that, we want to make sure that what we started here in Oakland, which is called pop-ups, and I'm sure they have them in other cities across the county of Alameda, state of California, all across the United States. And if you don't, you need to look into that. Who better can identify the crime in their city other than the people who live in this neighborhood and communities that are being terrorized? And not just here in Oakland, in San Francisco, and LA, and Chicago, and New York, New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Florida. All across the United States are having issues with crime, burglaries, theft. So we want to make sure that it's called pop-ups. Check out with your local police department, the police chief, and see if you can work with them to come out in your communities to talk to the residents who are in Oakland, are afraid to come out of their houses. In Oakland, afraid to go into patronize businesses in their neighborhood. In Oakland, businesses are telling their workers not. And the key is not to go out of the office to patronize the businesses that rely on that money to take care of their family, pay taxes, and keep their business open. Their business is open. So check that out. Pop-ups. Thank you. And another note, I also serve on the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee. I'm a member. And let me tell you something. The last meeting was devastating. Um, they have on the ballot in the Bay Area a $20 billion housing program project that they're trying to implement. There's been some hiccups in it. This money is supposed to help with housing homeless people in the Bay Area. But one of the things problems I have with that, when you got that kind of money, we got to make sure that it gets to the people. We don't need to have 50% of that money going into the administration of this money that's allocated to house homeless people in the Bay Area. $20 billion. Second, it was pulled from the agenda, and I urge each and every one of you to attend, whether it be Republican or Democrat or other, attend your meetings, community meeting, city meeting, county meeting, state meeting, and the DNC, Democratic National Convention, is coming up this month in Chicago, Illinois. I won't be able to attend this year because of a work-related injury, which I am devastated because I had looked forward to attending that this year, especially since we're going to have history in the making. Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, is going to be the next president of this great nation. And we need to make sure that we support her in her endeavors to be the president, the first African-American woman be president, the first African-American woman to be president of the United States of America. And as you already know, and I'm sure many of you watch the news, we have had many white folk who are trying to blast her, whether it be publicly or in private. So let's support Kamala Harris, Vice President, to be the next president of the United States. Make sure you are registered to vote, and make sure you vote. Second thing is Pamela Price, Madam DA Pamela Price, they pulled on the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee, they pulled pulled her from the discussion of whether she should be recalled or not recalled. Recall or not recall. It's critical that we understand both sides of this. People are saying in Alameda County, specifically Oakland, that she is allowing criminals who have butchered the city of Oakland to get out that night or the next morning to do other crime. So we are going to look very closely on this because, as we know, nationally, DAs have devastated our community with the unfair judicial process when it comes to Black men and women getting prosecuted and white men and women not getting prosecuted for the same exact crime. So let's keep on tabs with that. In addition, we want to make sure that we acknowledge Donnie Glover. I'm going to take a quick break for a minute to stretch my legs, but we want to make sure that we acknowledge Donnie Glover for his efforts and his continued effort to inform and get the news of what's going on here, not just here in Oakland, not just here in Northern California, Southern California, but all across the United States. He's out there on the East Coast doing a hell of a job. And Donnie, we are here representing you because we appreciate this opportunity that you have given us, this platform that you have given us. So folks, take a minute to write this information down. Donnie Glover on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. LinkedIn, and YouTube. Also check out bemorenews.com and blackusa.news. Watch our parent podcast network. I'm going to take a quick break to stretch my legs, and I'll be right back. I told you I'd be right back. I'm glad I only do this show once a week because you have no idea of the pain that I am in every Thursday from 4 to 5 to make sure that my national, state, and local audience get a true flavor of what's going on in Black America. As we just talked about politics, I want to go into business. And I spoke a little bit at the beginning of the show, but one of the things that is very important that we need to know, specifically Black America, when you go to these non-union jobs, and like I said, I've worked at both union and non-union. Many of these non-union jobs, they have Cal OSHA issues that they're not addressing. And because they're so rich, billionaire, they're able to pay these little fines off and keep beating up their people, specifically Black and brown people. With a union job, I'm going to shift a little bit over. Let's go into pay. When you are a journeyman at a company that's union, you get the same amount of money, the same amount of pay per hour as your white male counterpart. And I say white male because even white women are suffering from this devastating practice that billionaire companies play when it comes to white men. I used to work for a company, and when I got into management, it was a union company. And when I got into management, I found out later that why was I see these white guys going on trips, buying houses, summer houses, boats, putting their kids in private school. And I said, well, how are they doing that? And we're doing the same job. And through some challenges and some legal maneuvering, I found out that our white male counterparts made anywhere between 25 and 50% more money than Black people. Yes, 25 to 50% more money than Black people doing less work. So I support our unions in this country, and pretty soon I will be pointing out those non-union companies that are beating the hell out of Black people at their company, putting them in harm, jeopardy, paying them less money than their white counterparts, etc., etc. You ought to be shaming yourself. And let me be clear here. I will be naming them off. We buy your products, we buy your services, we buy your cars. Yes, I will be pointing you out. I will be naming names and holding back nothing because you ought to be shaming yourself. Shame, shame, shame. I'd like to also thank Dr. Kaya Nyambi Shivers, founder and editor and chiefess, yes, chiefess of Ark Republic and professor at New York University. Hashtag Kiambi Shivers. Please visit her website as listed below. And she's also at Ark Republic, hashtag Ark Republic. Outstanding sister, intelligent, articulate, and she has been a good friend of this show. We appreciate her. and we want to let her know out here uh, on the West Coast, we got, which is the best coast. We got your back, sister. We also want to keep in mind Rex Pickett website and his movie Sideway. His brand has devastated, and I mean positively, the movie industry. He's doing a great job. Listening to him, his story is similar almost to a black person. So let's support Rex Pickett, and his website is listed below. Please take a chance to write that down. And also, you can come back to the show on blackusa.news or Be More News, DonnieGlover.com. Now, as we are coming to a close, as you can see today, I have had the opportunity to really talk about a variety of issues. And as I wrap it up, I want to be sure to remember Barack D. Obama Shaw, running for governor for the state of California, ex-Army reservist. Thank you for your service, Barack D. Obama Shaw. Thank you. He is self-employed, graduated from Texas Southern University, and originally from Houston, Texas. We want to make sure that we keep him out there because election is coming up. We want to make sure that you support Donnie Glover's book, Unapologetically. Yes, and I love that. Unapologetically Black. We don't have to be we don't have to be unapologized or apologize for being black. Yes, I'm a black man facing many issues in white America, which has tormented black people for over 400 years and continue to this day to do that. Also, Donnie Glover has an autobiography, and the book is called I Am Black Wall Street. Check that out on your newsstand or Amazon. We want to make sure we remember Elisa Victory Esquire, civil rights leader who will be coming back on the show, educator and licensed attorney serving across the Bay Area and the state of California. Visit her website as listed below. We want to continue to understand that when you, and I say you, talk about large businesses, black businesses, we want you to remember Ray Bobbitt, who was on the show last week. Ray Bobbitt is the founder of and managing member of the African American Sports and Entertainment, AASEG. He just last week, as he indicated, created a deal to purchase the Oakland Coliseum, which is ranked number 5 in the nation for its accessibility for train, planes, parking, freeway, getting in and off the freeway, Bay Area Rapid Transit, BART, buses. This stadium is going to be a huge asset for the redevelopment. It's going to be a $5 billion project here in Oakland, California. Ray Bobbitt, who's a personal friend of mine, who I have fought to make sure that politically and other, he gets the opportunity, he and his organization, to acquire this valuable piece of property and create an economic viability in East Oakland. And that's Ray Bobbitt of African American Sports and Entertainment. They made a deal with the Oakland A's to sell. Oakland A's going to sell their half of the Oakland Coliseum, and that was another milestone reach. The city of Oakland is selling their portion of the Coliseum for $105 million for Ray Bobbitt and his group. And the Oakland A's, and I'm not going to even give him the press, the owner of Oakland A's is going to sell their half. So you got two half. It'll be a whole, they'll own the whole project. $5 billion. Going to have retail, residential, etc. We want to continue to follow that brother, not just here in Oakland, not here in Alameda County, not just here in the state of California, but all across the United States and in the world. And when it comes down, when he starts selling his product and services, or excuse me, his emblems, AASEG, want to make sure we pour as much money as we would in these white companies. $1.5 trillion a year is what we pour into white, yes, what we pour into white businesses that give us nothing. And some of them will give us some pennies and nickels. We want dollars. That's right. I want dollars. We don't need no more change. We need paper. So let's make sure we stay on top of that. Also, once again, NID, Housing Counseling Agency, a HUD-approved organization promoting community development. What community needs more development than the Black community? So be sure, NID, which stands for National Investment Division, Housing Counselor, a HUD, Housing and Urban Development approved organization promoting community development. And we want to make sure that we give this young lady her accolades. Tammy Willis, a HUD certified housing counselor. Her number, as listed on the screen, is 510-460-0248. And this is just not here in Oakland, and not here in Alameda County, and not just here in the state of California. But NIB has offices all across the nation. So be sure to reach out to them for this free, and the key is free, this free service that can make a difference with you renting or owning. You can get up to $150,000 for your first home. So be sure to check NID out. You can Google it, NID, and make sure that you understand all these free services that we need, and we being Black people need more than any other group of people in America. NID, visit their website. You got a pen? www.nidhousing.com. www.nidhousing.com. They have offices all across the United States. I humbly ask those of you who are renting, let's start creating generational wealth through having that first down payment that's offered by the government. It's free money. Get it. Okay? As we wrap up today, I want to thank you for allowing me to ramble on. I didn't expect to go for a whole hour, but we're at 53 minutes. We're going to have a guest lineup coming up soon that's going to include, once again, the previous chief for the city of Oakland, California, candidate running for city council at large, LaRon Armstrong. Once again, LaRon Armstrong running for at-large city council person in the city of Oakland. He came up to the National Night Out. I've had a chance to talk to his campaign aide, and the brother is fired up and ready to go. And that's LaRon Armstrong. As we close out today, audience, I want to say thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Let's stay strong in the struggle together in white America to fight racism as it relates to businesses. And as I said before, we're going to identify the businesses that continuously treat their employees like shit. Yes, like shit. And I want to continue to point out the challenges in which companies pay white men more money than Black and brown people and women. Yes, it's a practice that is practiced pretty much in non-union companies and also in managerial positions. If you are at a union company, they practice the same thing. So we need to look and fight that. Tune in Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. East Coast Time. We hope that you check us out on blackusa.news network on YouTube, Facebook, and live on Instagram. Meet us after the show on Instagram in the future, where we'll wrap up and we'll do a quick segment of what we did on the 4 o'clock show, West Coast, and 7 o'clock East Coast. Remember, together, not apart. Together. And I always say together, it reminds me of having a big fist. I can't knock you out with my finger. Bruce Lee could, but I'm not Bruce Lee. Together. Together. We can listen. We can listen. We can learn. And we can share. Because I know you care. This is Doug Blackshear of the Black Business Roundtable. God bless. And when I say God bless, I truly mean that. God bless and good night.